Dear Dharma friends and all practitioners, it's Sunday, 9 of February 2025. We continue with the topics. No attachment is nirvana. No attachment is when we sweep up all of those elusive thinking or of those attachments to the ego or the self, and we reach our Buddha nature. When we said that no attachments, which means we achieve the nirvana. The patriarch said, when your mind is stopped working, that is the body mind. So right at the moment your mind stop working, the Buddha mind is now working, taking over. So these are just words of explanations. You need to do the practice in order to experience this state of mind. It's just like you use the boat to cross over the river to the other side of a river bank. And when you get to the other side, you leave the boat behind. So the Buddha and the patriarch's explanations are just a means of the boats to help us to reach the roots of ignorance and realize our own Buddha nature. So these sessions of question and answers or sharing experience are just the reminder for us to keep on going and practicing. And this is why we said that the doubt is our walking toward our goal of prajna or the wisdom. And these are just words. Prajna is just a word. Wisdom is just a word. The practice will help us to really understand what is the prajna and what is the wisdom. Our practice is ongoing and continuously going until we reach the pre-thinking aspect of the mind, the areas as no thoughts arising. However, these once again are just the explanations. When you reach the pre-thinking aspect of the mind, you just keep on going. There's no stopping here. It's just like a rock thrown into the water. It will sink all the way down and no way to stop it from sinking. So based on the explanations, we keep on practicing until we reach our goal. So now, if you have any questions or want to share your experience, go ahead and speak up. Go ahead.
Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Con kính thưa thầy, quý thầy, quý sư cô và toàn thể đại chúng. Hôm qua cái giờ khai thị cuối.
Yesterday,
Xong rồi thì
your Dharma talk. After your Dharma talk, I continue with the walking meditations and for 40 minutes and then come back and have a sitting meditation for 1 hour. And I keep on asking questions and raising doubt. It's certainly I have heard somebody asking, reminding me, you should believe in your own Buddha nature. No asking, nothing to asking, nothing to ask for, nothing to achieve, and nothing to fear of. And I just keep on practicing. However, I just heard somebody reminding me that during my practicing. I don't know what is going on. Could you help us? Help me on this. So our biological bodies, they just keep on going when we doing a practice. When we doing a practice, it's just like a biological clock that we doing when a person live with a responsibility. They always have a schedule for all of their works. Just like when you have a fixed schedule and keep your schedules, and when your biological clock is always remind you the times that you need to do the practice. So when our mind is always rooted on the circle of birth and death, it's my reminder for us to go on practicing, and we don't rely on anything that's going on in our mind. So our mind is always have the dualism, the good, the bad, the happiness, the sadness. They both going on in our mind, and they will always interfere with our practice. And our mind always try to analyze the thinking, analyze the thoughts, and our mind feel like there are two aspects that fighting with each other, and they continue to interfere with our practice. If one is stronger than the other, we lean toward the one that winning. And if we don't have the practice, then we will lean toward the one that winning. So those are all the creation of our mind. All these are just elusive thinking It's just like a person who just talking to themselves. It's just like the two persons in our mind talking to each other, and we are the one that listening to them. And now those are just elusive thinking in our mind. It's just because we still in the dreaming. All those that we see in the dreams are just the illusions created by the mind. Good or bad, diligent or lazy, all of these are just the reminder for us to go back to the practice so we can release our knowing, understanding, which means we detaching ourselves from all the attachment that we had. We just doing the practice, and that's all we doing in order to detach ourselves from all the thinkings. When we doing the practice continuously and diligently, that will the doubt will help us to fix all those problems that we had automatically. The right Dharma or the right view will help us to stay away from all of those wrong view and continue to practice. Sometimes when we running after these right or wrong, right Dharma or wrong Dharma, our mind will create something just to give us some thinking that we have achieved something. Sometimes we have feelings that we floating in the sky, and sometimes we have a feeling that we achieve something. Those are just the elusive thinking in our mind. It's just like an addictive person when they're taking the drugs, and when during the time they're taking the drugs, they will feel a lot of elusive thinking in their mind, and they might experience a lot of elusive realms. There was a story when from a monk who practicing the patriot Zen. He said that he when he was practicing, he was a very, very good practitioner. And he said that when he doing a practice, he had the mind of liking his Dharma friends. And when he realized that, he said that it's not a proper practice when you have these thinking going on. And he always go back to the practice. So he try to find a quiet place to practice. And when he doing the practice in quiet place, he also realized that there his Dharma friends was there, and her face were very obviously in his practicing. And those are just the creative thinking in the mind, the creative, the elusive thinking that the mind created. You have to overcome these and just go back to the practice. Luckily, that your elusive thinking created by your mind right there remind you to go back to the practice instead of doing something else. So luckily that we have somebody in our dream to remind us to do the practice. However, we still go back to our practice and don't pay attention to those realms. Go back to your practice and don't attach yourself to those. Is that understandable? Yes. Thank you. Miss Kim In, go ahead. Could you give us some words of attention and encouragement to deal with our disease in this life when we doing a practice, when we pay attention to everything surrounding us and coming back to our practice, we know that we have some mistake, but we still not overcome the mistake easily. And sometimes we just follow those mistakes and becomes suffer from those. Is that because our mind, we don't believe in our mind? Is that because we not doing the right practicing? It's just like our mind is always want to analyze things, always to discriminate things. However, the practice is going against those habits. So good or bad are just our attachment. When we asking questions and raising doubt, the doubt will sweep up all of these dualistic thinking in our mind. So when you realize the mistake, that is not easy. However, in order to stick with the practice and continue to practice, that even harder. So there's nothing for us to renounce, nothing for us to take on. We just keep on practicing. We don't put in the attention to renounce anything, or we put in the intentions of taking on anything. Only asking questions and raising doubt. The doubt will help us to renounce everything going on in the mind and stay away from taking on anything automatically. As a habit, we always running after the one that please us and stay away from the one that displease us. That's just because of the greed that we have in this mind. We always want to get more. We always want to have everything. That's why the practice of asking questions and raising doubt will help us to overcome all of these thinkings, all these greed that we have in this life. So we don't get controlled by those greedy mind. And when we doing the practice diligently, continuously, all of those analysis of the mind, all of those elusive thinkings of the mind will be swept up by the doubt, and we will be in charge of our circle of birth and death. We in charge of our cause and effect. It's just like in the Diamond Sutra, when Tu Bode asked the Buddha, how can we in charge of our own mind? How can we in charge of our own mind? So the Buddha said that you don't attach yourself to the six senses. You don't attach yourself to anything from outside or inside of your mind created. All those creations of your mind, you don't attach to them. However, when you put in your intentions of doing something, which means you still have the attachment to what you're doing. Everything going on, any circumstances, you still go back to the practice of asking questions and raising doubt clearly. Ask the questions clearly. Ask the questions continuously and raising doubt. In practicing diligently, practicing in laziness, we still don't pay attention to them. When you have those thoughts going on, just keep on asking questions and raising doubt. And remember, the Diamond Sutra is based on the 3 sentences that detachment our self from everything. It's just like sentient beings is not sentient being. It's just the names sentient being. So the only way to stay away from all these thoughts is keep on practicing asking questions and raising doubt. when you doing a practice and having the doubt will help us to sweep up all of these elusive thinkings for us. Is that understandable? Yes. Thank you for your words. I'd like to ask another questions. We using the knowing, the hearing, the feelings, and the knowing to help us to reach our Buddha wisdom, and could you give us some word of encouragement on how we using our seeing, hearing, feelings, and knowing in order to see our Buddha wisdom? When we said that we using the applied wisdom in order to reach our Buddha wisdom, we always detach ourselves from these words. And how can we detach ourselves from the words? For some people, just like an example, when a person who are not doing their work but paying attention to something else, they need to get a punishment for what they not doing in order to go back to their work. In the monastery, we have the precepts, we have all of these helpings from our Dharma friends and the masters in order to remind us to go back. It's just like when you closer to a bad area, sometimes you contaminated with those bad behavior. But when you stay in a good environment, you will learn to be good as other people doing in that area. So the monastery is the area to help us, to remind us to go back to our practice. And when we're doing a practice, we apply what we learn, and we're using our applied wisdom in order to reach our Buddha wisdom. It's just like students who studying and he's not doing well in school, and he doesn't know what is the problem. Then he had to go to a counselor and tell the counselor his problem, so the counselor can help him to realize his own weakness and give them advices so he can keep on studying on the right way. So in all colleges or schools, we have the counselor to help the weak students to deal with their problem. As well, in the hospital, we have the doctors to help the patients. They listen to our problem, our symptoms, and give us the way in order to solve our problem. So likely, when we don't practice and we having any problem, our Dharma friends and the masters are the one that we relied on in order to get back to the practice on the right track. So the applied wisdom is our practice. And when we do the practice diligently until we reach our roots of all ignorance, and that is when we have a chance to see our own Buddha nature or get enlightenment. So we need to know how to apply the Buddha words or the patriarch explanations in our practice, and eventually we will realize the meanings behind those words. Is that understandable?